Today, I will teach you how to create a monthly habit tracker. This template will make it easy for you to track your habits and see how much you've accomplished each day. You can use the tracker on its own or duplicate it in another spreadsheet. To do this, click on the small arrow next to the tab name, select Copy To, and then choose Existing Spreadsheet. You can utilize the tracker for as many months and years as needed by duplicating the original and changing the month. To get started, double-click on the date at the top and select the starting month. The day is not relevant, as the habit tracker will always begin on the first day of the chosen month. Next, fill in the table with your habits and goals for the month. There is space for up to 20 habits, but you can adjust the formulas to include as many habits as you need. For each habit, set a goal indicating how often you want to perform it throughout the month. As you check off the boxes, you will see the progress bars at the top change. The chart will also update based on the number of boxes checked. Additionally, you can track how many goals you planned and how many are left to accomplish. Finally, I've included a top habits list from the most completed to the least. If you want to learn to make something like this, stick around and I'll show you the step-by-step process. If you need something more specific, check out the links below. Our annual habit tracker and our annual goal tracker are listed in the description box. So let's get started. I suggest you follow my directions and do every step in the same cells I use. This way it will be easier to correct a mistake by checking the formulas on the screen. And remember, if you're using Google Sheets in another language, the formatting of the formulas might be different from mine, so be sure to check the directions Sheets provides when selecting a formula. Starting on a blank page, we begin by adding 14 columns to our spreadsheet until we reach column AN. Now, we select the 31 cells that we hold our days of the month and make them smaller. Select columns from E to AI. Right-click and select the option Resize Selected Columns. Make them size 35 and click Enter. Let's format our spreadsheet so it looks nicer. Click on the little gray square at the top left corner of the sheets. It will select the entire spreadsheet. Now choose Center, then vertically align. You can also change the font of the spreadsheet. I like Montserrat, but you can pick your favorite. Now we make column B bigger to make space for our habits and make column C smaller since it will only hold numbers. Merge cells from B26 up to B28 and write habits. Then merge cells from C26 to C28 and write goal. Count 20 rows below and put some borders around the table. It will be our habits and goals table. You can make it bigger if you like, but remember to adjust the formulas if you do. Now we will create our date. To do so, merge cells B2 up to C3. To turn this cell into a date, go to Data and then Data Validation. Click on Add Rule. From the drop-down menu, select Is Valid Date. Accept the condition below and then click on Reject Input. Click on Done. Now, if you double-click on the cell, a little calendar will appear, allowing you to select a date. Pick a month with 31 days to start. Click on a random day and the date will now appear. This format is not what we want. To change it, go to Format, then Number, and then click on Custom Date and Time. Here you can personalize your date as much as you want. Since this is a monthly habit tracker, I want to display only the month and year. You have many options to choose from. If you don't find the one you need, you can create it by changing it manually. Select the full month and the full year and click Apply. Now merge cells B4 and C4 and write Habit Tracker. Our date and title are ready. It's time to make some borders and change the dimensions and font. We then reduce column D and start our calendar on cell E28. To create our calendar, start by writing numbers 1 and 2. Select both cells and drag the format with the little blue dot until you reach cell AI28. Now we have 31 numbers ready. It's time to turn them into a formula connected with our date. Go back to cell E28 and cancel the number 1. We will use the date formula to turn our number 1 into the first of the month. Write equals date, open parentheses. As you can see, the formula wants a year, a month, and a day. Write year, open parentheses, and select cell B2, which holds our date, close parentheses, comma, month, open parentheses, and select cell B2 again, close parentheses, and add a comma. For the day, write the number 1. We told our formula that our year and month should correspond to what's written in cell B2, and that we always want the first of the month. Click Enter. To change the format, we do the same thing as before. Go to Format, Number, and then click Custom Date and Time. We want to display only the day in numeric form. Select the option and then click on Apply. We can now convert the other numbers into dates. Go to cell F28 and write equals E28 plus 1. Then drag it to cell AI28. If you choose a month with 31 days, the formula works just fine. But if you change the month to one with fewer days, you will see days that do not belong to the current month. We need a formula that displays only the days in each month to make it work for every month we choose. In cell F28, write equals if, open parentheses, month, open parentheses, to E28 plus 1, close parentheses, equals month, open parentheses, E28, close parentheses, comma, E28 plus 1, comma, open and close quotations, close parentheses. The quotation indicates an empty cell. If the day of the month does not belong to the day displayed in cell E28, we want the cell to remain empty. Before we drag the formula to the end of the month, we need to fix the cell that holds our first day of the month, E28. Go back to the formula and click on E28. Click F4 on your keyboard. A $sign should appear before the E and the number 28. If it doesn't work, write it manually. When we drag the formula up to AI28, the other values will change, but E28 will stay fixed, and the days belonging to the next month will disappear. Now we want to display the days of the week. To do so, go to cell E27 and write equals E28. Go back to Format, Number, and then Custom Date and Time. From the drop-down option, select to display the day as an abbreviation. Click Apply and then drag the formula up to AI27. To check if it works correctly, change the month to January or another month of 31 days. Now we can position our checkboxes. Select the area from cells E29 to AI48 and click Insert on the menu. Then select Checkbox. I like to make them smaller for a cleaner look. I also want to divide the month into different weeks. Select cells from E26 to cell K26 and click Merge. Write Week 1. Drag it to AF26. Format and text will adapt. For the last day of the month, merge cells AG26 to AI26 and write Extra Days. It's time to put some borders around our table. To make our table easy to read and use, divide the weeks by color and use borders to separate the weeks more clearly. I also like to color the checkboxes the same shade as the week, but it is completely optional. Now, color the day of the week and separate them with a white border. You can personalize this area as much as you want, choosing different shades and colors to fit your style. Now that our table is ready, we can input some habits and goals, checking boxes as we go. This will help with our next step. We are going to input some formulas to visualize our progress. Reduce column AJ. Merge cells AK26 up to cells AM28. Reduce columns AK and AL since they will hold numbers. Now make column AM bigger to create space for our progress bar. In the merged cells, write progress, and now we can move on to the formulas. Click cell AK29 and write equals countif. Open parentheses, select the range from E29 up to AI29, comma, true, and close parentheses. This tells our formula to only count the checked boxes in this range, the true boxes. Now we want to compare the checked boxes with our total number of goals. At the end of the formula, we add the and symbol, open quotations, slash symbol, close quotations, and symbol, C29. The formula will compare our checked boxes with the goal. Before dragging the formula down, I want the numbers to appear only when there's a habit in the cell. Go back to the formula and right after the equals, write if, open parentheses, B29 equals, open and close quotations to indicate an empty cell, comma, another comma, and then click enter. Now, if we drag the formula down to cell AK48, we will only see the numbers in the rows with the habit. To create a percentage, we move on to cell AL29 and write equals countif, open parentheses, select the range from E29 to AI29, comma, true, close parentheses, slash symbol, C29. We are dividing the number of completed goals by the total number of goals. Before we drag it down, we must consider what to do when there are no goals, since we can't divide by 0. To avoid any error messages, go back to the beginning of the formula and then after the equals, write if error. After C29, add a comma and close parentheses. Click enter. Another addition is needed to make it work. Again, we want the formula to appear only when we have a habit in this row. After the equals, we write if, open parentheses, B29, the quotations, comma, comma, and the rest of the formula stays as is. Click enter. Format this number as a percentage and remove the decimals. Now you can drag the formula down to cell AL48. It's time to create our progress bar. To do so, we need to use the sparkline function. In cell AM29, write equals sparkline. Open parentheses, AL29 and a comma. Now I recommend you open the suggestions by clicking the little question mark. Google Sheets offers formatting options for our formula. Copy and paste them in the formula bar. Change the max from 50 to 100% and add a color option by adding a semicolon. Write color 1 in quotations. Add a comma and then, between quotations, you can write a color or input a specific hex code. Click enter and the formula should work properly. Before we drag it down, we need to wrap the formula in the if error function. After the equals, write if error, open parentheses, go to the end of the formula, add a comma and close the parentheses. Now we can drag the formula to cell AM48. Our progress is done. We can add borders and make it neat and easy to read. Since we don't need to touch the formulas, change the background color of the cells to remember that this part is automated. Add inner borders and some formatting, and this area is done. Now we move to the daily and weekly progress charts. Let's merge cell B14 to C15 and write daily progress. Merge B19 and C19 and drag the format down to cell B21. In the cells, write completed, your goal, and left to complete. Merge B23 up to C24 and write weekly progress. Align the text to the right to make it neat. We can now move on to the formulas. From cell E19, we will count our completed daily habits. Select cell E19 and write equals. Countif, open parentheses, select the range from E29 to E48, comma, true, and close parentheses. I want this number to appear only when a date is present. After the equals, write if, open parentheses, E28 equals quotations, comma, comma, reach the end of the formula and close parentheses. Drag the formula to AI19. On cell E20, we will count the goals we wrote. Write equals, countif, open parentheses, select the range from B29 to B48, comma, open quotations, lesser than and greater than symbols, close quotations, close parentheses. Again, we wrap the formula in the if function to make the numbers appear only when a date is present. We also need to fix the range of habits. Move the cursor on the range and click F4, or add the $sign before both letters and numbers. Now we can drag the formula to cell AI20. On cell E21, we write a simple formula that will tell us how many goals remain for the day. Write equals E20 minus E19. Again, we wrap this with the if functions to display the number only when a date is present. For the weekly progress, merge cell E22 up to K22, drag the format to cell AF22. For the extra days, merge cells from AG22 to AI22. We want to count our weekly progress based on the weekly goals, so we need to sum up the goals. On cell E22, write equals sum, open parentheses, select the range from E20 to K20, close parentheses. To display two different values, we can use the AND symbol as before or the concatenate function. Let's use the second one this time. Go back to the formula and after the equal sign, write concatenate. Open parentheses, sum, open parentheses, select the range from E19 to K19 and close parentheses, comma, write the slash symbol in quotations, comma, and then leave the other sum function as is. Click Enter. Drag the formula to cell AF22. Since we only have 3 days, we need to change the last range. If we drag it, the format will be messed up. So we click on the formula, copy it, and then, instead of pasting, right-click and select Paste Special, Formula Only. Now we adjust the range by selecting cells from AG19 to AI19, and then AG20 and AI20. To separate things a little, add some borders. Merge cells E23 up to K23 and drag the format up to F23. Merge the last 3 cells as we did above. Here we want to display our percentage. We write the formula for the percentage in cell E23. We divide the sum of the completed goals by the sum of the total. The ranges are the same as the formula above without the concatenate function. Write equals sum, open parentheses, the range from E19 to K19, close parentheses, slash symbol, sum, open parentheses, the range from E20 to K20, close parentheses. We also wrap the formula in the if error right after the equals. Then we go to the end of the formula, add a comma, write 0% and close parentheses. Format as a percentage and remove the decimals. Drag the formula and do the same as before for the last 3 days. Copy only the formula and adjust the 2 ranges. To create the progress bar, merge the cells from E24 to K24. Copy the sparkline formula from the other table. Change the reference cells from D24 to E23. Drag the formula up to cell AF24. For the last 3 days, merge these cells and only copy the formula. It should work without adjustments, but make sure it is referencing cell AG23. This area is finished and we can add some borders. I also changed the sparkline color to better distinguish between the weeks, but it is optional. Once the formulas are done, you can play around with the formatting. Now we add a different chart. We want a column chart showing the level of completion for each day. To do so, merge cells E14 up to K18. In this cell, write the same sparkline formula as before, but this time we don't want a bar type but a column type. Write equals sparkline, open parenthesis, select the range from E19 to K19, comma, open curly parenthesis. Between quotations, write chart type, comma, between quotations, write column, semicolon, between quotation, write y mean. This is the minimum value of your chart, which is 0. After y mean, add a comma and write 0. Semicolon, between quotations, write y max. This is the maximum value. So add a comma and write count if. Open parenthesis, select the range from B29 to B48, comma, lesser than and greater than symbols between quotations, close parenthesis, semicolon, between quotations, write color, then a comma, and finally your hex code between quotations. Close curly brackets and close parentheses. Click Enter. You should see a progress column for each day if it works correctly. Make sure that your formatting is accurate. Every non-numeric element of this formula is written between quotations. You need a minimum value and a maximum value. And this time the color of your chart doesn't have the number 1 in it. You can now wrap the formula in the if-error function. At the beginning of the formula, write if-error and open parentheses. Go to the end of the formula, add a comma and close the parentheses. Before dragging this formula, we need to fix the range for the count if. Make sure that every single number and letter of the range has a $sign in front. Now we can drag the formula to cell AF18. For the last 3 days, merge cells from AG14 to AI18 and copy the formula by right-clicking and pasting only the formula. Check the ranges and be sure they reference only the days you need. It works fine in a month with 31 days, but doesn't work as well in the month with 29 and 30 days. For the leap year February, you have only one big column. For the other months, you have 2 crooked columns. It happens because we don't have a number in every column. If you don't mind, you can leave it as is, but I will show you a trick to make the columns prettier. To fix the formula, we have to do some extra calculations. In cell AG25, write equals if. Open parenthesis, AG19 equals open and close quotations, comma, 0, comma, AG19. Close the parenthesis. It means that when our cell AG19 is empty, we want to see the number 0 in this cell. Otherwise, it shows what AG19 should be showing. Drag this formula to cell AI25. We go back to the formula for the column chart and change the first range to this one. Click Enter and now the columns are no longer crooked. Add borders and colors to the charts. I make my charts the same color as the weeks by changing the hex code between the quotations. Now we can create a chart on top of our daily progress. To do so, we need some extra calculations again. On cell E13, write equals E19 / symbol E20. After the equal sign, write if error, open parenthesis, at the end add a comma, and write 0%, which is what we want to see whenever an error occurs. Format as a percentage and remove the decimals. Now you can drag this formula to cell AI13. Select all of the percentages and go to the menu. Click Insert and then Chart. I opted for a line chart. Remove the borders and grid lines. You can play around with the colors and the dimensions, adjust it to your liking or leave it as is. Most of our heavy-duty calculations are finished. Now, all that's left to do are some simple formulas. Merge cells B6 and C6 and write completed. Merge cells B7 to C8 and write the formula equals COUNTIF. Open parenthesis, select the range from E28 to AI48, comma, true, and close parenthesis. Now we merge cells B10 and C10 and write left to complete. Merge cells B11 to C12 and write equals sum, open parentheses, select the range from C29 to C48, close parentheses, minus B7. Now we can add some borders to the title and change the colors of the cells that hold formulas. You can also change fonts and colors to match your style. Reduce columns A and AN. To select columns that are not close to each other, click Command if you use a Mac or Control if you use Windows. Right-click and pick the option Resize Columns. Make them size 40. I changed the background color to an off-white and hid the extra calculations by making the font the same color as the background. To finish our habit tracker, we can use the extra space left to our right to sort our habits from the most completed to the least. To do so, merge cells from AK2 to AM2 and write top goals. Now merge cells from AK4 to AM4 and drag the format to cell AK24. Go back to cell AK4 and we can write the sort formula. Write equals sort, open parentheses, and select the range from B29 to AL48, where our percentage is, comma, 37, comma, false. Now, do not hit enter yet. I will show you what happens if you do. What we did was sort the entire range of cells and tell our formula that the values we need to sort are the ones in the 37th column of the selected range. If you count, the 37th column is where we have our percentage. False means that sorting must be in the descending order. If we write true, it would sort them in ascending order. If I click enter, the entire range will appear, including all the columns we selected. We don't need all of that. We want the first column with the names of our habits. To avoid this, go back to the formula and after the equal sign, write the function chooseCols. Open parentheses, reach the end of the formula and write a comma, then the number 1, the column we want to see, and close parentheses. After we hit enter, only the habits names will appear from the highest to the lowest. The formulas are done. All we need to do is tidy our spreadsheet. I removed the extra columns, added some borders to the top goals area, and changed the background color to remind me that there's a formula. To remove the extra rows at the bottom, click on row 50, then press Shift, Ctrl, and down arrow a couple of times. It should select all of the extra rows. Right-click and delete them. Finally, go to the menu and click View, then Show, and then Grid Lines. The habit tracker is complete. If you want to turn this monthly tracker into an annual one, you can duplicate this page by clicking on the little arrow beside the name. Select Duplicate, and a new identical page will appear. Before you do, you should empty the template, uncheck all the boxes, remove the habits and leave it blank. Change the tab's name to Original and duplicate it as many times as you need. To start a new month, you will select it from the little calendar at the top. This way, you can keep track of your progress throughout the year. Did you find the tutorial useful? I hope you did. If anything is unclear, please feel free to reach out. If you're looking for a more comprehensive template, check out our annual habit tracker at the link below. Thank you so much for watching and happy planning!